Good afternoon and welcome to Justine Peterson Presents WBE Certification, What to Know Before You Apply. We want to thank Shawni Jackson for presenting today. Shawni, the floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am Dr. Shawni Jackson, and I would like to introduce to you Brittany Molenkamp. Brittany is our certification specialist, and she is not new to the team, but she's new to the team. And so I have Brittany assisting today. She is our certification specialist, and for some of the questions that I may not be able to answer, I will refer them to Brittany, and Brittany will watch the chat. Feel free to ask questions throughout. I do not want to wait until the end, and we will get started. Well, let me introduce myself. I am the Regional Director for the Women's Business Development Center. And once again, Brittany is our certification specialist. We are located at 20 South Sarah at the CIC building. We're right across the street from IKEA. Our headquarters are in Chicago, Illinois, and I will get through all of that in a few minutes. How this is set up, we'll just give you a little bit of introduction of our organization, and then we will talk a little bit about the certification, and then we will go into a little bit of the deep dive of the certification, but we only have an hour, and so we will not be able to give you the full nitty-gritty, but feel free to contact our office and we will be able to assist you more. So let me maneuver this. Once again, the agenda, introduction, WBDC, types of certification, purpose and history, and how to get certified. So once again, we are the Women Business Development Center. We are a 501c3 nationally recognized leader in the field of women's economic development, which means that we help women business owners with entrepreneurship to help you with your business, get certified, help with workshops, you name it, we do that. Our headquarters are in Chicago, Illinois, but we also have satellite offices in St. Louis, which is where Brittany and I are located. We have offices in Kansas City, the Twin Cities, and Milwaukee. But we also service the areas of North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, as well as Iowa. And so our organization, we are the WBDC, but our certification and the body that we work with is called WBENC, which is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And so when we're talking about certification, this organization right here is where the certification is through. And so we are a regional partner organization. And so throughout this presentation, you're going to hear me saying RPO. So that's a regional partner organization. And so the certification that we offer, the WBE, which is the Women's Business Enterprise Certification, which is hosted through WBENC, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, that certification you can use throughout the whole United States. Whereas, and I will get to that in very shortly, whereas the WBE certification that you normally hear in Missouri or in St. Louis, that certification is only used for Missouri or St. Louis. So there is a little difference. So the certification that we offer, the WBE underneath WBENC, is used, you can use it throughout the whole United States. And so this is what I'm referring to. So WBENC is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. It was established in 1997, And one key thing that I like to kind of brag about is that our organization, the Women's Business Development Center, we're the ones who actually helped found WeBank. And so the Women's Business Development Center, what we do is we process those applications for that WBE certification, which is issued through WeBank. And as you can see, um, that certification is throughout the whole United States. And we are the WBDC, and I'm using so many different acronyms, which I know can be very confusing, but we are an RPO, a regional, and I'm going to go back so you can kind of remember that acronym, a regional partner organization. And there are 14 of us. These are all of the regional partner organizations. We process those WBE certifications. So that means that these RPOs who process those certifications, you're able to use that WBE certification throughout the entire United States. That's what makes us different than the certification that you can get through, because most of the times you can hear, oh, I have the WMBE certification. Well, you can only use that in like St. Louis or the state of Missouri. And so that's why you will hear several people or people that you network with, yeah, I have the WMBE certification, but then they also say, yeah, I also have the WBE certification standalone, which they get through us. Also, we, meaning the WBDC, we also process the Women-Owned Small Business Certification for the Small Business Administration, which is called, let me go back, which is called the WOSB certification. So with us, you get the WBE certification as well as the WOSB certification, which is the Small Business Administration, which is through the Small Business Administration. So we process both of those. Did I confuse you enough so far? You could come off mute and say yeah if you want to.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be
Yes,
the first to admit
I,
it.
Yes.
I'm like
like,
WBBB, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. Okay,
I'm trying to write everything down. It's like,
me as
okay,
well.
hold
So,
on.
okay, you want to go
Go-
first, Laura, or
I,
me?
I was just gonna ask, will this slide be available and is there a key for all the acronyms? Or
Absolutely.
okay.
So our website, and Brittany, if you can put our website, Brittany's going to put our website in the chat. And all of this information is on our website, and it breaks it down for you as well. And so after the presentation, I'm going to also show you some very helpful hints as well. And so Yolanda is also recording this presentation too. And so I know it's very confusing, but it is broken down on our website. These acronyms, you guys, is we know it's confusing because it's confusing to us when we first get started as well. But the key here is that the WBE, that stands for Women's Business Enterprise. And St. Louis, we have the Women's Business Enterprise. Missouri, the state of Missouri, you have the Women's Business Enterprise. But the key here is that WeBank, that is an organization, it's a national certifying body. And so that's the key that you want to remember is that WeBank is a national certifying body that certifies this WBE certification. And that WeBank, if you remember that N, national. So that means that nationally, your certification is used throughout the whole United States. And The WBDC, that's the organization that Brittany and I work for. We're able to process that for you. So those are the keys. And then if you want government contracting, that's where this WOSB come in. And so that's where the WOSB. And so WeBank can process, well, we can, Brittany, us, we can process both the WBE and the WOSB, both of those. Lashana, did you have a question as well?
Nope, that was pretty much it. And just wondering, and you just answered the second question, are you guys able to help us process both? So
Yeah, we sure are.
okay.
And you kind of look at us like a what do I used to call us? I can't even remember the name. You guys, I'm in menopause. So I'm older than what I look like. I know I look like I'm still 25, but I'm older than what you know, what I appear to be. But oh, now we have Andrew on the call. So now I can't, use the women's lingo and stuff. So
He's married. You can use the lingo. He understands.
but I kind of say that we're like a concierge service, So we're here to, assist. So, you call, Shawni, hey, I have a question, or email me, hey, Shawni, I have a question about this or about that. And then if I can't answer, if it's more about certification, then I may email Brittany and be like, hey, Brittany, can you answer X, Y, and Z? And if she does not have the answer for that, then we do know who will have the answer, and that's our managing director, who is Karen Goldner, because Karen's been here forever. And so she knows all. And so then she'll be able to answer a question, for us. So this breaks it down a little bit more. Is everybody, let me, if you have your computer or whatever, let me see a show of hands. Do we have anyone that's outside of the St. Louis area? So everyone's inside the St. Louis area? Okay. Because my territory is all of Missouri except for Kansas City and the surrounding areas, but I also work with Southern Illinois. So, East St. Louis, Belleville, all of those areas as well. So I'm not going to talk about any of these. I'm only going to focus with St. Louis area. So this is locally. And locally, we worked with MBE, WBE. I believe the DBE is no longer. And then ACDBE. So the MBE stands for Minority Business Enterprise. And then we have the WBE, which is the Women Business Enterprise. And then the airport used to do the DBE. And then you have the airport again, the ACBE program. So the ACDBE. So this is what locally we have. So you will see, this in St. Louis. These were the certifications that you could get in St. Louis. Now we've, been hearing on the news, it's kind of going back and forth. One minute we have certification, the next minute we don't. One minute we have it. And this was through SLDC and the airport. We know that they're revamping their certification. We don't know what's going on, right now. Then you have, certification levels. So as I mentioned, you have the local level, you have the state level, and then you have national level. So your business can be certified on multiple levels, from your city. Then you can also have your town, because, like for instance, the county, so you have the city, you have the county. So the city can have a certification, and then the county can have a certification. And then, we get into the county, and then, you might have Normandy. So Normandy may have a certification, then Overland may have a certification. then Bell Ridge and, the municipalities. So all the municipalities may have a different certification, to state to national. And then certifications do not supersede each other. There is not one certification that fits all businesses. And then you can be certified at one entity and not certified in another, since guidelines are not identical. And your client or customer dictates what certifications are important to them. So some people come to me and they're like, well, Shawni, hey, I'm certified at the state level, but I have a client who is in, like I just had this the other day. I have a client who is in Washington, D.C., and I need a national certification. And I'm like, well, how long, have you been without certification? And we're like, I've had my business for like 15 years and I've never had a certification, but I have this, new client and they told me that I need to get WBE certification. So when I say WBE, that means they need the WBE certification. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, I only need it for this. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, you sure you want to get certified? Well, if I want this client, I have to get, WBE certified. And that's what they say. So when they tell me WBE certified, that's telling me that they need to get WBE certified. And I'm like, okay. So then I walk them through the steps of how to get certified. And so they go through the steps to get certified, and then they're in a process. So they're about to get certified. So they're in Missouri. And so now, just because they have this new client, they're on the step, this new client that's in Washington, D.C., they need to get certified. So these are some of the things why people, get certified, just because, they have a new client or whatever. They've been without certification for years, but because they have clients and, something that's really big that's going to profit their business, they get certified. Then we have the state level. So state level, you have MBE, WBE, and then ADBE. Minority Business Enterprise, Women Business Enterprise, and then Airport Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program. So those are the Missouri, the state certification. And we have other, certifications as well, like veterans certification. And, there's a whole list of different types of certifications that are out there. Local level. And then national. So here's the national. Women's Business Enterprise National Council. So this is what we do. WBE and WOSB. Here's another national that you may heard of, National Minority Supplier Development Council, which they do the MBE. And then this is the one that I was telling you about, the National Veteran Owned Business Association, and that's the VBE. So all of these are national recognized certifications. Are we still okay? All right. So I have a training that's simply, should I certify my business? I'm not going to go into this in great detail today, but I'm just going to touch on this just a little bit. Okay. Once again, this is just an overview. So some of the questions that people ask me, Shawni, should I certify my business? So I can't tell you yes or no if you should certify your business. I do look at people sometimes like, why are you certifying your business? Because sometimes you should not. Now, with us, if your business is strictly for St. Louis City, Missouri, and you have no interest in going outside of St. Louis, perhaps you should not certify your business with us. Okay. I don't get a commission or anything for what I do. I am salary based. I'm poor. Okay. I have a 21-year-old kid that I'm still supporting. So I get nothing, except for this is something that I love to do. I love helping people. So I don't get anything, out of this except for loving for what I do. So, you certifying your business is not really helping me. Okay, so should I certify my business? Is my product service targeted at corporations, mass retail, or government agencies? So if you have a product or that's targeted at corporations, maybe you should certify your business with us. Mass retail, yeah, probably. Government agencies, yeah. That's a good reason to certify your business. So you got to look at the big picture. Like if you're looking at utilities like Ameren, Bayer, something like that, yeah, go ahead and certify your business because even though they're local, that's huge. A company like Schnucks, yeah, that's huge. But if you're looking at something like a mom and pop's, store, something like that, yeah, you probably don't need to certify your business. Does my business have the capacity to deliver quality products on large contracts or services on large contracts? If it's if if you're just getting started, but you still feel that you can service or deliver quality products, go ahead and do it. Yeah. But if you think that delivering large quality products and you think that you can't, like today, I just did a site visit for someone who makes homemade ice cream. She started off as doing this. So she didn't even grow. She had mint that grew wildly in her backyard. And she lived in U City. And she just wanted to get rid of this stuff. She didn't want to, just throw away the mint, because she had so much of it. And she's like, well, what can I do? So she just started using the mint and doing it as a hobby. So she put it in ice cream. And then her friends were like, well, she just started making it for her friends. And then they just started coming over like on the bandwagon. Hey, can you make me some of that? And then she was like, well, if I'm making it, let me sell it. And then she, went around, in the Central West End, got, a freezer and, the co-locations and started doing it as a business. And then her husband went close to the Boo Hill and bought a farm. And now I just did a site visit for them and they're about to get certified. And so she told me today she's at the Muni. So I'm like, girl, I've been eating your ice cream at the Muni. So she's like, selling it at the Muni. They're at they're at the Energizer Park. They're everywhere. And so I was like, well, if you're already, doing all of this without a certification, why are you getting certified now? And she's like, because she wants to go beyond St. Louis now. She wants to go, more places because her products are at, she's at Truman College, she's at Wash U, she's at SLU. She said she wants to go more places. And I'm like, wow, because her ice cream is really good. So these are some of the things why, people get certified. Am I willing to share the details of my business? Because it's very personal. It is very personal. When Brittany's doing these certifications, she is looking at all of your business. And when I'm doing site visits, or when Brittany and I are doing site visits, we're asking some very, intimate questions. And so you must be willing to, share, and you can't, be all like, well, I don't want to tell you that because that's part of, the certification process. And am I clear that certification does not guarantee or entitle my company to receive any contracts or business? You still have to get out there and network and work, at this. Because just because you're certified, don't think that that these companies, that these suppliers are going to just come up to you and be like, hey, Laura, you're certified now, and I'm going to give you this contract. It doesn't work like that. And I have a couple of people that I know that got angry at me because they're like, I'm certified and I don't have people knocking on my door. And I'm like, do you really think that just because you have a stamp on your marketing that you felt that people were just going to knock on your door and be like, hey, XYZ company, woman owned, that now you're going to, get our business? It doesn't work like that. You still have to market, you still have to get out there, you still have to, get your product and get your product out in, people's face. You still have to go to events. Your business is what's going to get you the business, the contracts. This is just an added step. It's just like if you have a high school diploma and then you go off, into college or whatever. Or if you have a high school diploma and you go get you some certifications on top of your high school diploma. Or if you go to college and then you get you some certifications. Or if you go to graduate school and then you get you some certifications. So it's like all of this stuff that equals up to your credentials. That is what make your business a little bit more successful, but it's you that's selling it. Here are some more benefits of WeBank WBE. So the WeBank certification targets audiences outside of your home and city and state. There is an annual application fee. We're going to get into that as well. WBDC and WeBank provide wraparound services, so professional development, capacity building opportunities, and procurement opportunities. You can leverage your relationship with the WBDC to meet our corporate partners through local, regional, and national matchmakers. So we have matchmaker events. Sometimes I have, in-house matchmaker events. We're accepted by more than 1,000 companies and some local governments. Your business will be listed in a national database that can be accessed by corporate members and other WBEs across the country. So I'm going to go back to that national database. That's that first thing that's right there where it says access and visibility. So our database is called WeBank Link. You have access to WeBank Link. And what surprises me is that people do not use this. This is a tool that you have access to. So you have access to other WBEs as well as corporate partners. And people do not use that. You will be able to use the WeBank logo on your products, websites, materials, branding, etc., bringing consumer recognition to WeBank certified women-owned business with consumer-facing products, and opportunities to present, sponsor, nominate, or be nominated at high visibility regional and national events. And your business will be listed on the women-owned logo website. So we also have local, regional, and national programming and events, invitations to best practices workshops, webinars, and conferences, pitch competitions. So I do a pitch showcase, and that starts around January, February, but the showcase, this is for professional services only. That showcase is in April, but I start working with you in February. And we have competition first round is in August, and my people from first round for the last 3 years, they have gone to finals. Last year, I'm don't know if some of you know her, but Kay Wells, the owner of Posy Pots, she, excuse me, she actually won the national competition. And we have WeBank education and grants for leadership development programs. But we also, and this is what I love, we have advocacy, community of support amongst WeBank certified WBEs, women impacting public policies with the organization called WHIP. And we have a lot more, but that's others, that I said we'll get to a little bit later. And so when we're talking about the federal contracting, the federal government has small business set-asides, prime contracts, and prime subcontracts for small women-owned and WOSB certified businesses. So the Women-Owned Small Business Federal Contract Program is administered by the SBA. And so we, the WBDC, is the third-party certifier for the program. And to apply through the WBDC, you must apply in conjunction with the WBE application. The WBE must be approved first. And what it is that on the application for the WBE application, I believe it's on like the second page, there is a spot that says, would you like to apply for WOSB certification? And you click yes. And I'll show you that in a few minutes. Eligibility is essentially based on direct ownership, the NAICS codes, average revenue, and our number of employees. We have some questions in the chat. No?
Nope, we're good to go.
Okay. Do we have any, that was a lot of just information. Do we have any questions or comments right now? Okay, let's talk about how to get started then. Okay. So eligibility. Businesses must be fully formed and operational. So you have your different forms: sole proprietorship, limited liability company, LLC, partnership, corp. So unrestricted ownership, 51% owned by a woman, owned by women or a woman. The woman must be age 18 or above. The citizenship, permanent legal resident, contribution, proof of capital and or expertise, women invested in a company, legal control. So the bylaws, operating agreement, decision-making, shareholder agreements. Operational control and independence. The woman holds the highest title. The women owners do not require reliance on finances and or resources of non-female owned firm. Any questions over any of this that I just read regarding the eligibility for WBE? So this is eligibility. The first thing is you must be 51% owned, woman owned. Not 49.5, or 50.5. And you got to be 18. Firm operates without undue dependence on non-female owned company. Okay. So here are the documents. Documents required for general information. We must have licenses, resumes. For owner eligibility, we must have birth certificates, U.S. passport, history, the who, what, when, where, and why. Personnel, list of employees, roles, time of service. For financial structure, financial statements, 3-year federal taxes, loans, proof of capital investments. For management info, agreements for service, subsidiaries, consulting. For government info, depending on business structure, partnership certificates, articles of incorporations, bylaws, minutes, operating agreements. And then additional information for the WOSB documents, we will discuss that in a later slide. So here's the mandatory versus required. So all documents in mandatory section that must be completed and submitted by all applicants. If you do not have the document, a W-2 for every owner, officer, or director, for example, then you must create a letter on company letterhead stating why you do not have the document and upload that in place of the mandatory document. And for items like operating agreements and bylaws, we need all versions. And just as a rule of thumb, if you have the documentation listed under the required section, submit that. If not, then select non-applicable. Brittany, did I leave anything out that you want to add?
Nope, I think that's it. I mean, basically, as you go through, you will see those mandatory documents, and it's pretty self-explanatory of what you do and do not need. The main thing that our managing director, Karen Goldner, always says is to make sure you read through those operating agreements and bylaws that you have before submitting them, especially if you get them off the internet, if you're a new company. You just want to make sure the female owner has full control.
What questions or comments do you have? Okay. Okay, so here we go from start to finish. I like this page. So the first thing, email confirmation. An email is sent after you submit the application. The review process begins after payment is processed. So remember I said that there is a payment for us. If you make less than $1 million, the payment is $350. However, you contact Shawni and say, Shawni, I need a scholarship. And I say, okay. And so I send you a scholarship, and that is half the amount of this, $350, if you make less than 1 million. Now, if you make between 1 million and 5 million, and you say, hey, Shawni, I need a scholarship, I'm going to say no. You don't need a scholarship. So obviously, I'm not going to give you a scholarship for any of these numbers either. Okay. It's only for this is what I'll give you a scholarship. And then once you get the scholarship, you'll send it to the email that's on the scholarship, and that's Karen Goldner. But just, email me, I'll give you that scholarship. And then number 2, application review. A certification officer ensures documents are complete. If needed, they will request additional information through the Q&A. So Brittany is like a certification officer. Then 3, committee review. Applications are reviewed by the certification committee at a monthly meeting. Site visit. And so that's something that Brittany and I we do site visits. So depending on what type of business you have, we'll either do a site visit via Zoom or we'll do a site visit in person. More than likely, it is a site visit via Zoom. And so the site visits are required for all new WBE applicants. Most occur via Zoom while the applicant is at their company's headquarters. So you must be at your company's headquarters. Your headquarters can be at your home, if that's where your headquarters are at. It can be wherever your headquarters are at, but it must be at the headquarters that you put in WeBank link. And I'm going to go back to this. So the entire application is online on a platform called WeBank Link, and this is used by all regional partner organizations to process applications, and it's the most secure way to share documents. We do not get documents, paper documents through emails or anything like that. WeBank Link is secure, is very secure. Also, all applications require a sworn and notarized affidavit and a signed and dated WeBank Link user agreement. So everything is submitted through WeBank Link. Also, make sure that you put the correct email in WeBank Link. So, because that's how we communicate with you. A lot of times we have people say, well, I emailed you. And we look in WeBank Link because that's what we use. And you put the wrong email address in WeBank Link. And so we're emailing you through WeBank Link and it's the wrong email address. So there's no way that we can contact you. So everything is messed up, because we can't contact you. Another thing that we mentioned, NAICS codes, make sure your NAICS codes are correct, because let's just say that a corporate partner calls me or email me and say, hey, Shawni, I'm looking for someone who makes steel or who, sharpens pencils or, something. And I go into WeBank Link and in your summary, you just copied and paste whatever's in your summary and you put it into WeBank Link. Well, I'm not going to read the summary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read your keywords and your NAICS codes. And so I'm going to skip past you and I'm just going to look at your NAICS codes or your keywords that are in your summary. And so that means you just lost a potential contract because you just basically copied and pasted what was on your website instead of putting keywords or using the correct NAICS codes. Okay. Final decision. It can take 30 to 120 days from the time you apply to the time a final decision is made. That's if you make lots of mistakes. Usually it takes 30 to 90 days. I have seen where it took literally 20 days for someone in January. I have never seen that before in my time here. This girl had it together. She was ready. And it probably took like 2 weeks, really. And I was like, I just talked to you like last week and she was already certified. And I had to talk with my managing director because I had literally had never seen that before ever. And so, but she was determined. She had a contract that she had to do. What happened was she started off with the airport and the airport helped her. And she came to me and she was like, listen, I have a contract that I need. And she's like, every minute I waste, this is money that I'm losing. And she had that thing. It was done. It was taken care of. And that was it. she knew what she had to do. So she did whatever it was. So these are the final decisions. All applicants will receive correspondence through the WeBank Link portal. Your business is added to a WBE directory that is available to corporate partners and thousands of other WBEs. Your WBE certificate will be available on WeBank Link. You may use the women-owned logo on products, marketing materials, etc. If denied, applicants will receive a detailed explanation. The applicant can appeal the decision within 30 days. The cause for denial can be corrected, and the business may apply again in 6 months. So, after you apply and everything, just like everything else, in order to stay in good standing, we need to make sure that you ain't got married. Your husband want to be a part of this stuff because he sees how successful you are. And then now, he says that I want to be a part of this. I want some of your money. And, I want 50-50 of this. And you're so much in love now. And so you want to give him half. And so WeBank's like, we're going to get you recertified. So now it's a year and past. So now WeBank WBE certification must be renewed annually. So you can apply up to 120 days before the renewal deadline, and you will receive multiple reminders, emails from WeBank Link. Do not wait until the last minute. It is not our fault because you prolonged it and you waited until your certification expired. And now, Shawni, you're mad at me because your certification expired and you're about to lose this contract because you were enjoying your drink on the beach with your umbrella. And so you got to get this recertified and now you want to rush it. And so you're calling Brittany because Shawni is on the beach with her non-alcoholic beverage as well. And so she can't do anything for you because you had up to 120 days before the renewal deadline. So the recertification fee depends on the previous year's gross receipts. So you and made, what was that now? You and made $50 million in 1 year. So now your recertification is $1,250. And you're like, hey, Shawni, do I have one of those? Can I get one of those scholarships? And I'm like, no. You made $50 million last year. You did very well. And now you're still trying to get that same contract back. So your certification fee is $1,250. But we will help you get recertified. So a site visit is not required this time. It's every 3 years, unless there are major changes to ownership or control of the company. You got married and your husband tried to add himself to the business, or your children now. So you're trying to retire. And so now your daughter wants to be a part of the business. But be mindful of WeBank guidelines when changing ownership structure, bylaws, and operating agreements. Be sure to provide updated or amended organizational documents when you apply. So then the Women-Owned Small Business Federal Contracting Program was rolled out by the Small Business Administration in 2011. This is for access for small business set-asides, prime contracts, and prime subcontracts from the federal government. WeBank and the WBDC is the third-party certifier of the WOSB. There is no additional cost to apply. Applicants can only apply for the WOSB if they apply for the WBE certification. WOSBs are not processed independently of WBEs. So in order to get the WOSB certification, you must apply for the WBE first. So WOSB applications are processed up to 30 days after WBE certification has been granted. But the good news is that it's on the same application. That is the good news. And the only thing you got to do is just simply click that button. Must be small in primary industry by per SBA standards. 51% directly owned and controlled by one or more women who are U.S. citizens. Women owners must control management, daily operations, and long-term decisions and work full-time in the business. For corporations, women must make up the majority board of directors or have majority of votes. They must be able to overcome any supermajority requirements. The required documents, active registrations on System for Ward Management, so that's sam.gov. One of the following confirmed revenue and number of employees, IRS Form 941 for 4 previous quarters, or W-3 from previous year, or current employee list. Only if previous 2 items do not apply. For corporations, stock ledger or stock transfer ledger. Each NAICS code eligible for the WOSB has limits on the revenue or number of employees a company may have to be considered small. And the NAICS codes on the application and the business activity code on the tax return should align by at least the first 3 digits. And then the next steps. Ensure your company is eligible for WBE certification. Carefully review your governance documents, bylaws, operating agreements, trust, partnership agreements. Know your NAICS codes. Gather and label your documents before filling out the application. And then one of the first questions is about the WOSB applications. If you select yes, a WOSB applications will be generated. So would you like to apply for WOSB certification in addition to the WeBank WBE certification? There are 2 categories of documents, mandatory and required. Some tax returns, W-2s, or other documents require passwords. So in this case for you, please provide the password in the document comments. Be sure to save the application as you go along. Make sure to press submit when you have completed the application, and contact the WBDC if you have additional questions. There are also many resources available on the WBDC and WeBank website. So once you get to the application steps, that's when you will contact I'm out of the equation. You will work with your certification specialist from there. And so here is my information. Best way to contact me is email. You can use that. If you have any questions regarding certification, Brittany will put her email into the chat. And what questions do you have? I know that was a lot. Like I said, this is just a summary within an hour. Normally we do about an hour and a half for this particular one. So this is it's an overview, but feel free, to contact us for, we do one-on-ones as well.
Okay. Hi, Ms. Jackson. I do have a question.
Yes.
So, and I just want to get clarification. If we apply for the WeBank, does that automatically apply us for the WSOB?
So if you apply for, no, if you apply for the WBE application, remember, on one of the first questions is going to ask is, would you like to apply for the WOSB certification? If you select yes, then you click WOSB application, and that will generate an
So
application.
we'll apply for all three of them.
It's just two.
So it's just two.
So WeBank that's an organization.
Okay.
So WeBank, that's the certifying organization.
Okay. Okay. I understand now. And
Okay.
then another question. So
Mhm.
I don't provide a product, I provide a service. I'm a non-emergency medical transportation company.
Yes.
And I do plan on going outside of Missouri into
Okay.
other regions.
Mm-hmm.
So that WeBank will allow for me to be certified if I go to another state.
It sure will.
Okay.
And remember what I said, that's professional services. And so that is needed as well
Okay.
because we have, companies like Centene. Um, that was one of my corporate partners. And that's everywhere. There, we have Illinois. So we have a list of corporate partners. And a good thing, like WeBank is having their national conference I believe is it June or July, Brittany? June?
June, yes.
It's in June in Salt Lake City, Utah. Yeah. So that's like another good thing about like when you become, part of this organization, you have like big conferences you can go to as well and network. So we have regional and we have local
Okay.
opportunities. And that way you can network with, different, not only corporations, but also other WBEs, because you never know who you're going to meet. Honestly, a lot of my WBEs, they do business with each other.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Ashley and Kamika, you've been quiet. The one thing that I didn't mention is that we do not work with nonprofits. That's the only thing. We do not work with nonprofits. If you're a nonprofit, I send you all to the Urban League with Dr. Alita Grimes. Okay, well, thank you for joining this workshop today. I thank Yolanda with Justine Peterson for allowing us to participate. Once again, we do this annually. And if you all, once again, would, love to come to any of our events. We have something coming September the 22nd. Please be on the lookout. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Shawni Jackson. And just connect with me and you will hear more about our event on September 22nd.
Thanks, Shawni. If you can send me a flyer when we send out the information, we can attach that to it as well. So everyone on here will get that information and be able to sign up.
We don't have it yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still looking for a location. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Oh, I
you.
might got an idea. We'll talk afterwards. But anyway,
Okay.
thank you all for today. We will be sending the information to you all through email. And also, we will be sending additional information for an event we're having this Saturday. And it's the Level Up St. Louis Verizon Self-Made event. So I'd love to see you guys there and look forward to that information in your email. Have an amazing remainder to everyone's day.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
This was amazing. Thank you, Shawni. I learned something each time.
Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda.
It was the W, so I was like, okay, we're
It's
but I got it.
always,
But as you get to like the middle, it makes sense. You make sense. The
Mhm.
end really helps, you know.
I was so, oh my goodness, I was so confused when I first, joined. I was
Mhm.
like having panic attacks. So I'm like, oh, how am I going to ever learn any of it was so confusing. But yeah, you get
And
to,
I hate acronyms because I'm like walking up like, what are we talking about? But I get it, and it makes so much sense now. And thank you for all of that. It makes the process walking into it a little bit less daunting, you know, because now I you go in with an understanding, and then we know we have you guys with us along the whole ride to make sure
yeah.
that we're moving along successfully. So thank you for all you do at WBDC, and we appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you. I wish I
All
could
right.
be with you Saturday. Oh my goodness. That event sounds fantastic.
Well, we pray that that'll be the beginning of many, many more corporate sponsored events that we can look forward to.
Oh, give me a call soon.
Yeah, we I want to do something next week. Let's not put it off because if we don't do it by next week, you know, then months pass. But thank you again, and I will connect with you offline. Have an amazing day. Bye,
You too.
Brittany.
She's gone. She's been
I'll tell her
gone.
I said bye and thank you for everything. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.